Turns out doing things is hard.
We thought we knew, but little did we know.
Because these last 2 months we've been doing ruthless challenges from no phones to a strict diet, and now it's time to get critical about the results.
We're also going to be completely overhauling our challenge format going forward so that we can make sure that our lives are as hard as we can possibly make them. I'm Robert.
I'm Asher, and this is Learning to Live.
Welcome back. This is episode 12, our second challenge check-in.
Yeah, and this is super exciting. For those of you who are listening for the first time, this podcast is our quest for fulfillment, and we're learning as much as we can, but the core of it is implementing what we learn into our own lives.
Ultimately, you're not going to attain fulfillment just through reading a book. It's about how you actually change and what you actually do. It's about the living experience of it.
Yeah, so it's time to share some transparent results. There's been 4 challenges we've been doing, so we'll do a quick overview of what these challenges are to get everybody up to speed, and then we'll get into our new format of how we're going to break down our results, which should be very exciting.
Yeah. So our first challenge was our no phones challenge. And this got introduced way back in episode 2.
Yeah.
Whenever we were learning a lot about the negative effects of phone and the positive effects of focus. So we decided to do 0 non-essential screen use.
Yeah, and this was, at this point, maybe 2.5 months ago. So we've had like a sizable sample of really not using our phones. And like you said, it was inspired partially just because of the struggle with technology use in our own lives. And it was also inspired by reading some books like Deep Work by Newport, which really stressed the importance of being able to focus deeply. And one of the biggest downsides of phone is like fractured attention.
Yeah.
We've been pretty good with that, and we'll get into the results shortly.
Yeah. So our second challenge is our Tiny Habits Challenge. And this came after reading Tiny Habits by BJ Fogg back in episode 4.
Yeah.
So this was also a while ago.
Yeah, and the thesis kind of core of that book was basically you can break every behavior down into 3 simple components and use those components to design habits in a really effective way. The main method being make them really small and easy to do.
Yeah.
And so we said, okay, let's take 3 habits, let's implement them into our own lives using his strategies, and let's see if they make an impact.
Yeah. And this was definitely a very interesting book because it really comes at behavior as far as the systematic and design approach to it, which was kind of a new way of looking at things. So that was really fun to get into.
Yeah, and going off that, I think another reason this was so attractive to us was we've been in that rut before where we've tried habits and just failed habits. And so I think this is such like a universal, like, how can I get things to stick?
Yeah. So moving on to our third challenge, this was our meditation challenge, where we basically said, let's meditate for 30 minutes every day after we read The Untethered Soul.
Yeah, and we really did like a deep dive on Michael Singer, who is a hippie, cool guy in Florida. Kind of hard to describe, but he's written a few books about his spiritual journey, which kicked off when he kind of had this moment of self-separation from the voice in his head and wanted to learn how to surrender to life's events and meditated and had all these crazy spiritual experiences. He wrote The Surrender Experiment, which was his autobiography, which we read.
Episode 5.
He wrote The Untethered Soul, which was more of his philosophy. Episode 6. And then he wrote Living Untethered, which was more of the practical guide. Episode 8. Yeah. So we did the full Michael Singer discography.
Well, we still got more to do.
Yeah, he just came out with a new book, which we might read, Wisdom Untethered. And so that was the launching pad for our meditation challenge.
Yeah, and so our last challenge was our Good Energy Diet Challenge, which came after we read Good Energy in episode 9 and 10.
Yeah, this was a book by Casey Means, who is kind of a part of some of the new health movement, really anti ultra-processed foods, really pro-organic, high-quality ingredients. The root of that book is that most chronic disease is the result of metabolic dysfunction. That's her belief. So not only did we read the book, but we went and got a full blood panel to see exactly all of our baseline health metrics, and now we've kicked off a very strict diet challenge that we are going to break down in a second.
Yes. So, I mean, like you were saying earlier, this challenge aspect is kind of the core. And so, in light of that, this is our second one. So, we did one back on episode 7, and that was fun. It was a good little conversation, but we want to really make this like our thing. So, we want to start bringing in new elements and a new structure to how we're going to do this.
Yeah. And, we walked out of that episode feeling like, okay, cool. We talked about what we've been doing, but I guess the thing about the long-term vision of this podcast, it's like we want to build a community of people who are taking on these challenges, who are invested in their own fulfillment and living a better life, and we want to help with that process. And we feel like to do that, we need the check-in, the challenges to be bigger. They need to be it needs to have some more punch to it.
Yeah.
And because that is what this podcast is about. And so this episode, we're scrapping what we did in the past, and we're rebuilding the premise.
Yeah, and this is going to be a little bit incomplete because we're going to bring in a lot more, I guess, objectivity and data-driven challenges, which will come in the next check-in. So this one's kind of to get us started with some of the ways that we want to go with it, but it's still like almost getting there.
Yeah, and so I think this is going to be very exciting.
Yeah.
So let's just get into it.
So let's get into it. So we brought props.
We brought props. We are upgrading.
We're getting high tech in here.
These are expensive, high-quality whiteboards, about $8 a piece.
I mean, it's kind of expensive.
It's kind of a nice little whiteboard.
Yeah, it's a nice little whiteboard.
So getting into this, because one of the things we really want to do is we want it to be more consistent. When we look back over our challenge check-ins a year from now, we want to see what actually changed. What were our metrics? How did we feel about how they were going? And so to do that, we're going to be rating exactly how the challenges have been going on a few different scales. So the first scale is going to be an individual scale for that challenge. That's going to rate how well are we doing the challenge?
Right.
Because if we're going to be honest, it's not always easy. We miss days, right? That's part of personal growth. And so we're going to rate that. We're going to break down what's been going well, what's been going poorly, what needs to change.
Yeah.
And then we're going to be introducing the high quality LTL value index metric.
Yeah, the learning to live value index.
And so this is going to be an overall metric that's one is going to represent change life. It's going terrible and we need to change it. And 10 is going to be life change.
It worked beautifully.
It worked amazing to our hopes and dreams.
Yeah.
And we will fully recommend it to anybody who's listening.
Yes.
And that'll allow us to compare kind of what these challenges, what the impact.
Yeah, and also give us a way to kind of look at how it's been going and then where do we want to go from here.
Yeah. So that said, let's dive into this phone challenge because you said it was no essential phone use, but what were the actual full parameters of the original challenge?
So it was basically non-essential phone use. That looked like we're not going to use social media. We're not going to go on to other entertainment. So going on YouTube, on the TV, on the laptop.
Yeah,
so
no video games.
No video games. So it was a very large encompassing thing that, what we considered essential phone use was things like maps and messages and music or other kind of utilities that you weren't going on your phone and spending time on there as an escape or a distraction or as entertainment.
And originally, we also were going to have no phone usage in the mornings at all from when we were waking up at 6:30 a.m. till 9 a.m. And then no phone usage from 6 p.m. to 9 p.m.
Yeah.
So,
in light of these guidelines that we set out for ourselves, it's time to give ourselves our ratings. Now, we're going to give a score from 0 to 10. In 0, we're going to call iPad kid.
Fully dependent. That's all of our entertainment. To the screen.
And then for 10, we're going to go with caveman. So,
doesn't know what a phone is. Never had access to it.
Never had the urge for a cell phone once.
Let alone technology in general. just
living in nature.
And that's what we aspire to be.
Right.
Okay.
All right.
So from iPad kid to caveman. All right. I have my rating.
I'm ready.
You ready?
Yeah.
All right. 3, 2, 1.
Oh,
8.65.
I don't know. I was going pretty harsh here.
Okay, well, let's talk about this. All right, I gave it an 8.0.
Wow.
And I'll tell you why.
All right.
Because on net, I've had very little non-essential phone use.
Yeah.
I don't feel like I've like completely gotten rid of the phone out of my life. Mm-hmm. But like, I feel like succeeding at the challenge. And I feel like it's been going well.
That's fair. I think I gave myself a worse rating because I felt that while I've cut out pretty much all non-essential phone use, like there's some like checking like sports scores on like ESPN or something. So like minimal extra. I've still found that like I still have urges to like go on it in uncomfortable like settings or like I guess as far as meeting the criteria of the challenge of like the goals, I didn't feel like I was super like kind of like when you know how at the beginning or the first check-in where you were talking about how you felt like we were so busy that we didn't like feel the positive benefits. It's almost something like that where it's like I'm not feeling too much different. It's like I'm almost just busier or like not really feeling much changed from this challenge so far as the screen time. And there's also been a lot of other screen time with like watching games,
right? Watching a sports game,
movies, or something. So
that's fair. And I think
in the mornings and nights. So I mean, it's not been in my mind up to par with like the strict guidelines. Now, overall, way better than beforehand.
Right, and we can get into some results here. So if you go back to our last check-in, we have an in-depth screen time analysis, and we did that a couple times now.
Yeah.
This will go quickly.
Yeah.
Just over the last 4 weeks, our average screen time use. So 4 weeks ago, my average use was 37 minutes a day.
Mm-hmm. Mine was 60. Now, I don't know what's going on that week.
Yeah.
But that's a lot. More than I was anticipating.
Right. My next week was an hour and 16 minutes. So also fairly high.
Yeah.
I think I was traveling that week, but...
Yeah.
More communication and stuff, more like I'm in the car for 10 hours and looking stuff up on Safari.
Right.
And just So
like
things that.
Yeah, that's how it goes. Yeah, mine was 39 that week, so more chill. And then my next week was 47, so a little higher. And again, this is pretty much all like messages, some music, and then some Safari for like looking stuff up.
Yeah, and mine was 41 that week, and then this past week it was 52 minutes. So
same.
Oh, look at that.
There we go.
So, it's not been, and I guess this is a good time to get on the same page of what this scale looks like, because I agree with you that it hasn't felt like we've fully experienced what it would be like to really cut out the phone.
Not a caveman.
Not a caveman. And I would say I've had a lot of unnecessary phone pickups.
Yes.
In the sense of just like, I pick it up, I check my my email inbox, or I go to text somebody that I didn't need to text, or, things that I'm looking for a reason to use my phone.
Yeah. And I think one of the things that I want to avoid on the scale is the scale's not, I think, an improvement, it's more of a, on the broad scale of, if we're going from iPad kid to caveman, I'm like, in the grand scheme of things, I'm probably falling somewhere on the 6.5 range, not towards the higher ends where I feel like you'd be.
So that said, clearly it's not exactly where you want it to be. I'd say 8. The more we talk about this, feels a little high. So maybe I'll get that down to
okay,
No, I mean, I feel like the reason I put 8 was the gap to success for me didn't feel like a phone usage thing, but more of some new changes, like making sure it's not in the same room with me and doing things that weren't necessarily in the original guidelines, but could make a big impact.
Yeah.
What changes come to your mind in terms of going forward?
Well, I think the time constraints, I think not getting on in the morning is a good thing. I liked, because we did do that for a while at the beginning, and I wasn't on it until 9, after 9 most days. And I did like that. And I felt like it was easier on those days to not go on it later. So maybe doing something more like that. I also think that when we're going forwards, we can be very strict on the no non-essential. I think that would be kind of cool maybe we can have like a buffer of like a 5 minutes lookup window on Safari or something, because things happen.
Yeah, but it is a good point, because there's a bit of a gray area of what's essential.
Yeah.
And there were times I would look things up on Safari, read some news articles that I didn't need to, but
Right.
there
You could have
was
just waited and done it somewhere else.
yeah, and I guess I would have really liked to feel that the urge to pick up my phone was completely gone, and it's not.
Yeah, and that's one of the reasons I gave myself a little bit of a lower ratings. I still feel like that's there, or at least, and not even necessarily always my phone, but just the need to like have something or like
Stimulation of some
stimulation.
sort.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I feel like that's kind of one of the metrics of the challenge that I was hoping to improve on, and doesn't feel improved, at least as much as I would have like hoped, or as much as I'm hoping to get out of progressing in this challenge.
Yeah. Yeah. So we will give our custom LTL VI. LTL VI metric score soon, but because that's the comparative metric to the other challenges and the overall score, we're going to go through all the challenges first.
Yes. So now we have our tiny habits challenge.
Yes.
And so we each picked 3 tiny habits. Mine were, after I wake up in the morning and put my feet on the ground, I'm going to say today's going to be a great day, and then celebrate. And then afterwards, I'm going to stretch and then celebrate again. And then my third habit was, after I brush my teeth in the morning, I'm going to go and turn on my piano in my room and then celebrate.
Right. And I had the same first habit. After I get up in the morning, my feet hit the ground. Today's going to be a great day. Celebrate. My next was, after I brush my teeth in the morning and the night, I'm going to take 3 deep breaths and then celebrate.
Yeah.
And then finally, it was, whenever I go into my room, getting ready for bed, I'm going to pick up or put away 1 piece of clothing.
Right.
And then I'm going to celebrate.
Right.
So the scale for this one is, again, 0 through 10. 0 being it's so tiny you could just say it's invisible. And 10 was monstrous in scope and power. So we got a wide scale here.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. So should we do our ratings?
Let's do our ratings. You wrote a lot there.
Yeah, man. I'm verbose.
Oh, are we rating each tiny habit?
No.
Okay.
All right.
3, 2, 1. 0.3. Faint breeze. Yeah.
I would say
yeah.
you can kind of feel it. You can't really see it. It's not quite invisible.
The remnants are there.
Yeah.
There once was a tiny habit that was done in this apartment. Yeah, I unfortunately agree.
0.3 is a very specific number. Where did that come from?
It was, divine inspiration. I don't know. 0 being that they're invisible.
Right.
They're not invisible purely because there were times I did them.
Right.
But if you were to look at over the past week,
yeah,
they'd be fully invisible. So
yeah. No,
I struggled to stay consistent with this one for sure.
Yeah, same. And I think part of that was I just didn't ever remember to do it. I mean, it's easy to do. It's easy to say today's going to be a great day, but that was never the first thing on my mind.
Yeah.
There was like in the last 4 or 5 weeks that we've done our last check, and I've probably done that less than 7 times.
Now, if you're very disappointed in us watching right now, hold out hope. Some changes are coming.
Yes.
We'll get to that later.
Yes.
Yeah, so this one, we talked about this in the last challenge check-in, which I think the value that I think the tiny habits really brings, in my mind, is a habit that you want to be doing, but you haven't been able to get yourself to do it in the past. Because then there's a little bit higher motivation, then you make the ability smaller. And so to get into tiny habits, for those who don't know, the 3 factors that we mentioned earlier are motivation, ability, and prompt. So the idea is motivation's inconsistent. So we're going to make it really easy to do, lower the ability threshold. And then a prompt is you're anchoring that habit to something in your life, some sort of reminder, so that you're scheduled to do this tiny habit.
Yeah.
I felt like with the deep breaths and with the Maui habit, it didn't feel like there was a lot of upside to doing it. It didn't feel like it was making a big impact. It was really easy to forget.
Yeah. I mean, it just didn't progress towards anything.
Yeah.
It didn't feel like it was ever going to, really. I mean, from the jump, I had little to no belief in it. And I think this raises an important point as far as the tiny habits, because I just feel like that while the book says we should be iterating and improving and like changing, it's like we've been doing this unsuccessfully, trying to like make little tweaks. And to be fair, we haven't like put our heart and soul into it. But the whole point of the tiny is that you're not supposed to have to put your heart and soul into it.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be an easy way to make change. And ultimately change hasn't really happened.
Yeah.
So it's like it's felt easy to not change. And it's like I just feel that at some level we have to kind of come to terms with the fact it's like you're either doing it or you're not doing it. And you can say that it's, we just have to iterate and change and make improvements and we're just not finding the right habit. But if it's taking this long, at this point, it's been 2 months of tiny habits and we still haven't really made it work, then it's like, at what point do we just say that this isn't the fault of like us necessarily, but it's more of the method? Like, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, here's where I would maybe disagree a little. I think for us, we have so many other big priorities right now that we are putting a lot of energy to, and we are making progress in those realms, that this just felt like, why, like, the upside wasn't really clear. We weren't in a state of, like, if we weren't going to the gym, maybe this would be something that would really help get a habit going. I think for somebody who is just like, I want to slot something new into my day, and they really iterate on it, I think it could work. Like, I'm not willing to discount tiny habits as a whole method. I just think there's no one size fits all. And I feel like this method for us specifically hasn't hasn't gained traction, but I just don't know if I don't know if it's us. It could be us.
Well, and here's so another thing I'm thinking of is like the idea of us doing the tiny habits is that you are not relying on motivation. And so we're saying a solution to this is to pick something that we're more motivated to do, but then that just feels like it's disrupting the whole methodology of the tiny habits. So it's like if we did feel like there was something that we really needed to make changes in, which we're doing in other areas of our life, we're not using the tiny habits approach. So when it's like if you do have something that you want to change in your life, is that the best approach? I don't know, because that's not the approach we're using when we're like, I want to start going to the gym more. I'm not starting tiny necessarily. I'm just figuring out other ways to kind of build it in and force myself to go. Yeah. So I don't know. I don't know if all you can like muster the motivation to do something tiny, like that's okay. And starting tiny is definitely a way to do it, but it does feel that at some level it takes a lot of motivation to do things to begin with. Because when you don't have motivation, you're just like, I don't care to do that. Why would I care?
Yeah, I guess part of me thinks that, Tiny Habits has been successful as a book, as an approach for many people. And then we see, Atomic Habits, which we haven't read, but I'm pretty sure is very similar.
It sounds just like a smaller version of it.
It's an even tinier habit.
Yeah.
And, I think that's a very similar approach, and that's obviously been widely popular. Mm-hmm. And so clearly it's working for some people. Does that mean that we can just say, this doesn't work for us? Or does that mean that we didn't do enough iteration? We didn't actually try to make changes into the habits themselves.
Yeah, at some level we can say that we didn't try to do it, but the way I look at it is we did make other changes, doing other approaches. We actually got them to work. So it's like, I don't know. I could say that I feel like it's not really working for me. Maybe that's because we're just choosing habits that aren't aligned with what we're motivated towards. But at that point, why would I not just want to go big or make it work? Like, I don't know.
Yeah. I'd be interested to know more about, because it didn't work it didn't work for me either. And I'd be interested to know what that is. Is it a personality type? Is it I like when I see tangible difference. I like committing to big goals, having that big identity shift. It just didn't feel like I was gaining that from this. Mm-hmm. So we'll come back to the final impact score for that at the end. Maybe you can have an idea of how impactful it was.
Well, that's going to rank.
But now moving on to our meditation challenge, which was 30 minutes of meditation a day, semi-guided or unguided with the Headspace app, both of which are pretty unguided.
Yeah, most of the time it's just silence.
Yeah, and this is mindful meditation. So the idea of this meditation was focus on the breath and come back to the breath, let thoughts pass through. Yeah.
Yeah.
What?
All right.
And okay, what's our scale?
Okay, our scale 1 to 10, 1 being just we're asleep. It's sleeping, it's nap time. And then 10 is going beyond, communing with the eternal, I don't know, just
Transcendence.
floating off the ground, that type of
Yeah,
thing.
nirvana.
Right.
Sure. My handwriting's terrible. I'm going to redo that. All right, ready? 3, 2, 1. 3.7.
Wow.
4.
Yeah, I feel like
Okay.
this number might be high. I was going to base it off of what you had because I'm like, it should probably be lower than yours. But
Yeah, so
this is going to be so disappointing for everyone at home.
but I think, this one's a little more complicated
Yeah.
than what the score just says.
Yes.
Because here's the thing with the meditation. 30 minutes is brutal.
It is hard.
It's a long time.
Yeah.
I did it most days, but I didn't do it every single day. So there's that factoring into I didn't fully stick with the challenge all the time.
Yeah.
So that lowers the score, right? The other thing is a lot of the meditation was just really mentally draining. I didn't feel like I was anywhere close to going beyond.
Right.
Like
or even
I
just getting something positive out of the experience.
yeah, like my mind was racing. It was taking all my energy to come back to the breath, and then we would talk about these daydreams we would have where you really lose that you're even doing a meditation, and then you come back to it and you're like, wow, I totally lost touch with where I was.
Yeah.
And I felt like I was almost falling asleep. It's been challenging, and I think what's interesting is we can kind of evaluate this from the Tiny Habits framework, which is motivation to do this is very high. I want to be someone who meditates, and I think the benefits would be really good.
Right.
Ability to do a 30-minute meditation is really low.
Right.
It's I'm not good at it.
Yes.
And
Same.
it's
so hard.
It's so hard. And then the prompt, there was no place where it was tied into my schedule.
Yes, and that made it very hard because it normally got pushed to the very end of the day, and that was even harder to stay awake and to stay aware.
Right.
And it's you're uncomfortable. I always notice at the end of the day when I sit down and pay attention, my whole body's just uncomfortable. Everything, my skin feels weird. It's just a disaster.
Yeah. And this is where, and maybe we should have said this in the last section, but where we both really value the Tiny Habits framework, which is the framework itself.
Yes.
Because I do think we can evaluate behaviors on this framework. I just think the output of the tiny habit wasn't doing it for us.
Right.
To make it, I think, to the ability side that we talked about, going forward, I think we're going to try and break the 30-minute meditation up into 2 15-minute meditations. One in the morning, one in the evening, so that ideally that should be just a lot easier from an ability standpoint, and we're going to have it tied into the routine. So we'll figure out what the evening looks like, but it'll be before going to work, maybe after the gym, in the morning, every morning.
Yeah.
The other thing is, at the end of this episode, we're also going to get into kind of how we're revamping challenges as a whole.
Right.
Which is going to be very exciting, but that also should help.
Yeah, and I'm excited to kind of try the 15 minutes, especially twice a day. I've never done 2-a-day meditations, and this was actually the 2 times 15 was recommended by Michael Singer in the Living Untethered book. So I'm curious to try it, and I'm curious to see how much it's going to be a lot easier.
Yeah.
But I'm also curious to see if it has some benefits still, and we can, tweak and make adjustments if we feel like we're not getting anywhere. But I think it'll be fun to stick with it and to make that adjustment and see how it goes.
Yeah. So moving on to our last challenge, which is our most recent challenge. We've been doing it for maybe about a little less than 2 weeks now. Was the Good Energy diet overhaul.
So get rid of the fast food.
Yeah.
Get rid of most food, actually, that's not organic.
Yep.
Wild caught. I don't know. Just everything that's used, whatever the most expensive version of it is in the store, that's what you have to buy. That's what the challenge is. I mean, it doesn't
Challenges go broke as quickly as you possibly can.
Yeah, and not only are you going broke, but you have to make it yourself.
Yeah.
It's not even, you're not even getting it from a restaurant. Can't do that.
Yeah.
They don't have organically sourced foods.
Nope. So, that being said, our scale, 0 being our college diet filled with fast food and alcohol,
Right.
and 10 being hunter-gatherer, because that's honestly what it feels like when you have to, it feels like if we really wanted to be perfect at this challenge, we would have to be picking our own vegetables and killing our own animals.
Yeah, but not anywhere nearby. We
No.
have to go somewhere where air pollutants haven't even grazed the surface.
The soil has to be immaculate.
Right.
All right. Ready?
Yeah.
3, 2, 1. 6.8.
Oh,
6.
There you go.
All right.
Similar ballpark.
Yeah.
This is probably, the 6 for me is probably a higher number than I should give myself as far as how last week went.
Right.
Because last week was a bit of a disaster for me. It was my graduation week, a lot of celebration. So I wasn't eating clean the whole week. There was 3 or 4 days that were, a little questionable, but not questionable as far as I wasn't eating fast food, but just questionable as far as, it wasn't in line with the diet as far as completely organic, completely all this. So I broke a lot of rules, right?
Yeah, and I put 6.8 because similar boat in the sense of if you go to our kitchen right now, it's stocked with the best foods you could imagine, right?
It's beautiful.
The meals we're making here are really healthy. And most of my meals are those meals.
Yes.
So it's going well.
Yeah.
But it requires a ton of meal prep, a ton of cooking time. And so there's been days where it's I resort to let me get a healthy bowl from Chipotle or something.
Right.
Which is not what I want to be eating, but it's not the worst thing to eat, not the best thing to eat. It's breaking the rules of the actual challenge.
Yeah, the actual doing of this challenge, the guidelines of the Good Energy book are ridiculous. It's impossible to follow all the guidelines from the book, right? And so we weren't trying to, but we did set ourselves some rough guidelines because we knew that it was impossible. So in light of that, I think overall it's been a drastic improvement, and we're continuing to improve as we're discovering new recipes and ways to eat things. And I think we still have some work to do as far as bringing in new ingredients. I think the time of the potato should be upon us.
Yeah.
I hope. I don't know. It's impossible to find carbs, man. I'm just eating, it's all sugar from fruits. I'm is that even good?
Yeah,
I don't know.
It's really difficult to hit caloric goals.
Yes.
And it's so you're hungry and it takes so much time to actually cook the meal that you're
I'm so hungry. I don't feel like I have the energy to even make the meal. I'm I need to eat a snack before I make the meal. I have to eat a handful of nuts.
That said, I will say most of my meals are healthier than I've ever eaten in my life. They're very healthy, most of the meals.
Yeah.
So I feel like this is only going to get better.
Yeah.
I have confidence. I feel like we've slowly been ramping it up these 2 weeks, which has made for a slightly easier transition than when we did, past diet challenges and it was really rough off the bat.
Yeah.
And so I have faith that this one's heading in the right direction.
Yeah. So, do we want to talk about some of the meals that we have been making for those who are curious? Because I think that's good. You can go to ltlpodcast.com and then we actually, so this is a little side note here. So we've been developing our website and we have a nutrition tab, which is kind of this tool that I've been making that has, you can put in your height, weight, gender, age, and then in the profile section, it kind of estimates the amount of calories you need, and that's based on some formulas that are online, which we used before, and they were kind of all over the place.
They're okay.
Take those with a grain of salt. But the idea is, if you have your own, you can also put those in custom as well. Then you can go over and add a bunch of ingredients in and build out the meals and then log them. And that's kind of how we've been building out and planning our meals here.
Yeah, so this is a free food tracker.
Yeah.
And it's only on the website right now, but maybe in the near future, hopefully we can maybe roll this into an app.
Yeah. The other thing is that we should have I think we'll probably show our diet or maybe some of our meals on here. But if you go to our website in our resources tab, it should be on there. If you scroll down a little bit, you should be able to see the
so you can see
challenge.
exactly what we're eating. And the rough outline is pretty much we've been having this mega smoothie that's packed with micronutrients, fruit, beetroot powder, maca powder,
creatine. Not that that's a micronutrient. That's just for the gains.
Yeah,
but
greens, spinach, kale, whatever.
Yeah, bananas, fruit.
And then we'll have we've been eating an egg scramble that's just loaded with
Just
vegetables.
everything.
It's just onions, mushrooms, tomatoes, more greens,
peppers,
avocado,
yeah,
and then
turkey, ground turkey.
delicious. Ground turkey is just not good.
I mean, we also don't season it.
Yeah, that's just on us.
So that might be our fault.
And then the dinner's been like a chicken dish with more vegetables, maybe Brussels sprouts, and we've been eating quinoa. She says you can't have any grains.
Yeah, so we've been breaking the rule there. I mean,
Come on.
it's like tricolor quinoa.
Yeah,
Like,
it tastes healthy. Let me tell you that.
Yeah,
And
with some hemp seeds and some olive oil on it.
Olive oil.
Eventually, we might transition that into a lentil dish. I think those are allowed.
Yeah.
Although our 25-pound bag is not organic. So that sucks.
We bought that a while ago, and it's not organic.
It also tastes like dirt.
It tastes miserable.
So I'm not looking forward to reintegrating
but
that.
we're getting a ton of micronutrients. We're just not getting enough macronutrients.
Yeah, I mean, you go for like just shoveling kimchi, and it's like just
and we're also doing 3 servings of probiotic
just
foods.
like no calories.
And
just eating.
we're also, just eating us handfuls of nuts to try and get enough calories because that's the only thing that's calorically dense in our kitchen.
Right. I mean, and that's like the cheapest thing that we get. And organic almonds from Whole Foods are not cheap.
No.
I mean, and this is raising some considerations here because right now this diet, it's like hanging on under like $20 a day, which I think is kind of unrealistic.
Yeah.
And there's some level at which, if we look at the amount of micronutrients that we're consuming per day, I think we could probably cut those down and just spread them out into different flavors over the week. So that way we're still getting 30 per week, but it doesn't have to be 30 per day. And so we're doing everything every day. And then also, some of the types of nuts and some other things might not need to be organic to necessarily like the trade off there. Yeah. I mean, non-organic walnuts from Costco.
It's like, so expensive.
Yeah. Well, so the non-organic ones are, but the organic ones from Whole Foods, the self-serve ones, I mean, comparatively, it's like insane. So
yeah, and this is the other cool thing about the food trackers. We're putting in all the prices.
Yeah, so it calculates out your price, and it's a great tool. Go check it out. It works pretty well. I mean, if there's any issues, email me. Yeah. It's on the website.
We'll fix it.
Yeah.
In time. So that's the 4 challenges. Let's do the overall LTL.
So how are these stacking up?
Yeah.
Is our life changed or do we need to change life?
Yeah. So I say we just write down all 4.
All right.
Phone, tiny habits. Yeah. All right. Ready?
Yeah.
All right. 3, 2, 1. Okay. Okay.
All right.
All right. So no you like the round.
I mean, it's like I don't feel like I can differentiate.
See, no, I feel like I know the difference between a 7-8 and a 7-7.
Shut up.
It just feels.
We might as well do it on a scale from 1 to 100 then, right? We're doing 1 through 10 for a reason. If you want to add decimals, just...
I'm someone who, when I give a scale of 1 through 10, it's not complete if I'm not giving a decimal. It feels shallow.
But that's the whole point of the scale, is to make it more categorized.
I don't know. It's just...
Because what do you think a 1 through 5 scale
is? It's a gut thing.
Right. So should we just do 1 through 100 next time?
No, because then it'd have to be like 77.6.
Come on. This is ridiculous. All right. Anyways.
We can round up and down here.
It doesn't matter. All right. So for the phones, you said...
I said 7.8.
All right. And I said 7.
Okay. I do think this has been an impactful challenge.
Yes.
Even though we haven't felt like it's where it could be.
Yes.
It still has upped productivity a ton.
Yeah. And I've definitely noticed in the times where it's been good, it's felt better. Like I've felt a correlation.
Yeah, 100%.
With my focus and attention and with the phone use. So
yeah,
I think that it's good, not great as far as, but that's on us, not on the
100%
the challenge.
Tiny habits.
Yeah, what'd you say?
I said 0.5.
Wow, I gave it a 0. So I mean, I gave it
it hasn't impacted you at all.
Changed life.
So here's my thing. When I was doing the picking up my clothes tiny habit, that was helping keep my room clean a little more than it wasn't. So it was helping a little. There
That's
was
fair.
some impact.
I've learned a thing since then. You know, I've got better at a part of a song on the piano.
So there's
In
a
my
little
brief time.
impact.
All right.
Zero's not fair.
All right, zero's not fair. I'll give it an upgrade. I'll give it up to 0.5 as well.
Okay, so welcome to the decimal system.
Well, I'm not giving it a 1.
Exactly. That's why we need decimals.
I'm okay with 0.5s, and in which that case we might as well be on a 20-point scale, but whatever.
Okay, but no one wants a 20-point scale.
We had a whole conversation about a 7-point scale before this episode.
Yeah, no one wants a 7-point
I'm a
scale.
huge fan of a 7-point scale. I think it makes the most sense. But
It
anyways,
makes no sense whatsoever. Meditation.
so I gave this a 7.
Wow.
And that's because I felt like, not as far as me sitting in the chair right now feels like it's a 7, but at one point it felt like a 7 impact on me.
Okay.
So it was more of like, this was an optimistic, I see the vision.
Okay.
There was a time in life at which I was like, this has fundamentally changed the way that I view life. And that might have just been because of we just come off living Untethered and the Untethered Soul, which I felt like were huge perspective shifts for me.
Yeah.
I felt really like nothing bothered me anymore.
Yeah.
And then when we were doing, like, that's when I was like really crushing it on the meditation, then eventually became inconsistent and my attitude changed. And I feel a lot more lost in the thoughts than I was at that point in time. So that's why I gave it a high rating. It's not because like now I feel that much better, but when it was good, it was great.
So, okay. So with that in mind, I've thrown in parentheses a 7.2.
I mean, come on. That just feels like you're just trying to be 0.2 higher. like you just saw my number, then added 0.2.
No, what happened was I said, okay, well, first let me walk you through what the parentheses number is. Because I gave it a 3.5. And the reason on a pure impact scale,
Right. Yes.
I don't feel like it's changed my life yet.
Yes.
But
Same. But
like you, I feel like I've seen the vision.
Yeah.
I've come in contact with what it could be. And for that, I say, like, I've seen the 7.2. But I just couldn't, I didn't feel like I could write that down.
That's fair. And this I wanted to write down just to give it a little more of the hope and inspiration into it. But ultimately, I don't feel like it's changed me that much.
Yeah.
I would say more of the philosophy of the living untethered and untethered soul has changed me maybe to a 7. But
Yeah.
that's not the meditation challenge.
Sure.
So
Okay. Good energy. You gave it
I give it a
4.
4. I give it a 4. I mean, I'm just like, this feels like the no energy challenge to me, and that's my fault probably. But I'm like eating all of the time, and I'm just like hungry and exhausted. And so I'm like just doing it, like going to the gym feels terrible. And that's probably my fault because we just didn't have enough calories in the fridge to sustain us. But I didn't realize how much money I had to spend to get enough calories when it's like this. Like, I'm a big guy who takes a lot of fuel to keep me going, especially when I'm going to the gym. So it was like, I just felt like the last week and 2 weeks, I've just been, I mean, I did a Spartan race, which is like an obstacle course race. I did that like 2 weeks ago. It took me like a week to recover because I was like just a zombie because I was not eating enough food to come like actually heal from that. So it was like, I mean, I don't know. And this, I think, will change a lot going forwards now that we're actually getting there. And I, especially since we implemented the logging tool, because before we had that done, we'd been gone about 1 to 2 weeks of the diet before we actually started tracking, and I was putting it in, and I was eating like 1,800 calories a day, which is like probably like 1,000 calorie deficit from my maintenance level. So I was like starving basically.
Yeah, this one, I mean, for me, I don't need as many calories, so there's that. But I gave it a 7 because I feel like I'm feeling pretty good. The meals, I feel like after I eat one of these meals, I feel good after I eat one of these meals. I haven't had a ton of energy crashes that I would have when I would eat like some fast food for lunch or whatever.
Yeah. That's
and
fair.
I just feel like things are running a little smoother.
That's fair.
You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
I feel like I see, okay, if we could hone the diet so that we're getting the calories we need, I fully think I'll feel amazing on this diet.
Yeah.
I'm a believer that it's going to work.
Yeah.
And so I think it's already having an impact, and I think there's a lot of potential.
Yeah, I think I might also be going through a little bit of a digestive adjustment period because sometimes it's nice, but sometimes I'm like even today and yesterday, like my stomach's felt pretty weird, and I don't know what that's about. Like it just kind of hurt. maybe it's a Brussels sprout thing. I don't know.
Yeah.
Something's been wrong.
Sure.
But again, I haven't felt much energy crashes because I've just felt the consistent low
It's hard to crash when you're
at the bottom.
Right.
So I've been kind of scraping along anyways, but I do feel like pretty good after eating. It's just,
yeah.
it needs to.
Say this: some of the meals taste a lot better than I thought they would.
I
Our
agree.
smoothie's really good.
Yeah.
The egg scramble's quite delicious.
No, I enjoy the food. I think
Yeah.
it tastes really good. I dislike the prep time, the cost, the groceries. I mean, it takes forever to go grocery shopping. You have to get 1,000 things. And so,
Yeah.
but I think a lot of this will get better going forwards. We'll adjust to it, and hopefully we'll be getting on a better meal prepping schedule as well. And that should make it loads easier.
Yeah. So here's the thing: if you look at these numbers, for these to be life-changing challenges, you might be thinking to yourself, these are quite low, right?
Yes.
For this podcast to be about how do we reach fulfillment,
Right.
it doesn't feel like this is getting it done. And if you've listened to us talk about these challenges, it might even feel like we haven't really given them their worth shot. We haven't done them to the thing that could bring us the most benefit.
And if you've thought that, you're probably right.
You're correct. No, 100%.
Right.
That's you're absolutely right. And we were saying that, we've been doing this podcast for about 2 months now. And one thing about the 2 months that we've been doing is it's taken a lot more time than we thought it would.
Yeah.
And so
There's also just been a lot of life stuff. I mean, like I said, I was at the end of the semester graduating, and then you were doing a lot of travel. So it's like we've been busy at a level like throwing in all this learning curve, and also pairing this with The Master and His Emissary, which is the incredibly long book that we've been tackling. It's been a lot, and it's been hard to maintain and to keep a good schedule. And we've also kind of fallen off of our grind routine that we were where we were just dialed. So there's been a lot of factors,
Yeah.
It's a slippery slope, and life happens.
slippery
And
slope.
we've been here before.
Yeah.
But the key is we're not going to stay down.
we're not going to stay down. So like you said, just on podcast alone, between research, editing, recording, it's just not a lot of time left in the day. I'm working a full-time job. You were in school.
Yeah.
So it's like, and life stuff happens. So it's time. We're not going to take the tiny approach to this.
Yeah, it's time to ramp things up a bit.
Yeah, because we want this to feel like we're doing these challenges to the most.
Yeah, the best of our ability. To the best of our ability, but also not in like an obsessive way. Because we want to balance to where it's like we're still enjoying life, but the leverage is there to make sure we get it done. All right, so that being said, it's time to unleash
the punishment bot. So, we have some audio listeners only. So if you're just listening to this, what's happening right now is we've just lifted up just a beautiful cauldron.
It's like pure gold.
Gold. There's some steam coming out of the top.
I mean, it just looks
and
like
our logo is engraved in the side of
it's
it. Just beautiful
really
lettering.
the most beautiful bowl. It was gifted to us from some stranger, who was a fan of the podcast.
Yeah,
It was
some
a really,
wise monk who walked by.
walked by and had heard, checked us out, and really loved our stuff. So he gifted us this beautiful cauldron. And the great thing about this is it's filled with wow. It's filled with what I would describe as gold-plated cards. That whenever you read from them, they change your fiber of your being.
So, if you're listening, you're missing out on all that visually. But, so before we get into what this is, the next thing we need to talk about before we break this down is
the revamp.
The revamp of the Learning to Live podcast.
Yes.
Which is, we feel like we need to up the accountability of these challenges.
Yes.
We need to bring the challenges to the podcast more than they are. We don't want to just talk about them.
Yeah. And we need to bring them to the podcast, and also, make sure that we're fully invested in doing in them, because we feel like we have a responsibility to see what works and what doesn't. That's kind of our thing.
Yeah.
It's like in the bio somewhere, one of our bios. I don't know.
And so if we get to the podcast and we're just like, well, we kind of did it, and it kind of worked. Then everyone's just going to be like, well, great. Thanks for wasting my time.
So I feel like that happens on so much, especially
Yeah.
on like YouTube. You go and you're like, someone's like, oh, clickbaity, I changed my life. You go in there and they're like, yeah, I did this like more or less for some time.
Yeah, and it was kind of cool.
Yeah, and then it's,
I'm not going to ever do it again.
Right, so it's like, okay, well, that was a waste of 30
Not
minutes.
us.
Not us.
Not us. So
Starting next time.
So here's what the accountability is going to look like going forward.
Yeah.
Everything is going to be tracked. And it's not only going to be tracked from our self-reporting, but we're literally going to have to record what we're doing.
Yes.
So we have the 4 challenges currently, and we're not going to give up on them right away.
Yes.
Our meditations, we're going to record just time-lapse video of our meditations.
Yes.
The diet, we're going to take pictures of every meal that
And
we
also,
eat.
be logging it in
And
our
be logging it in
tool.
our nutrition tracker. The tiny habits, we're giving it one more chance.
Yeah.
We're going to take little videos. They're going to be stupid, but we're going to track when they did it, and you're going to be able to see the timestamp.
Yeah.
And corroborated with our Whoop of when we
Yes.
wake up, we'll be
Yes.
able to tell, did you do the Maui habit right away?
Yes.
And then the phone challenge, we're going to have our detailed screen time, but we're going to look very strictly at this. It's not just
Yes.
going to be averages. It's going to be any unessential phone use. We're going to report it. We're going to take screenshots of our screen time.
Yes. So we're going to have a Google form as well. And this is going to be where we can track our qualitative and quantitative. And so we're going to have kind of like some reflections and scores from 1 to 10 for every day throughout all of the challenges. And just kind of see, over time, we'll be able to look at trends and see how, okay, if I meditated this time, I was generally correlated with like a lower percentage. Just kind of see how it goes. And this will also help with accountability and whenever we can bring in a lot more data to our next check-in.
Yeah, exactly. And that'll be less so, it'll help with accountability, but less so on the accountability side, more so that we have more to share.
Yeah, more
at
data.
These
More
challenge
data.
check-ins. Going off of that, with all this footage and these pictures and these accountability measures, we're going to create the highlight reels that we're going to bring in to these challenge check-in episodes.
Yes.
And at that point, court will be in session.
Oh boy.
So we'll each have to present our
Evidence.
what we did, what we failed at, and we'll have to defend our case, and the other person will be the judge. And this is when the punishment pot comes in.
Punishment pot.
Because sentences will be doled out. If you did not succeed, maybe if you over succeeded in one, maybe you get off on good behavior. But overall, we're gonna dole out punishments as an accountability measure on top of this, and to make it more fun, because these punishments aren't going to be like, oh, I have to do something that just sucks. They're going to be designed to make it a little harder, maybe a lot harder.
They might make things a lot harder, but also should
push us.
Yes, push us, and also maybe add in a new flavor of self-improvement or something that we're not necessarily sure would work, or something that might be a future challenge that we're like, let's get a little experimentation.
Yeah, and the idea being that if we push ourselves with some of these challenges, that will raise the ability, that will raise our motivation not to fail.
Yeah.
And so ideally it should make, I think, doing the challenges a lot easier.
Yes.
And the long-term vision for this, because we want this podcast to be, communal growth. We want to build a community here. So if you're on board for this in the future, maybe you'll be putting together your own highlight reel that we can dole out punishments on the podcast.
Yeah, I think that'd be a lot of fun.
Yeah, and so we're gonna try, like, we're building tools like the nutrition tracker.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll put together the Google form and put it out so that you can track your own stuff. We're gonna try and raise everyone up as we try ourselves.
Yeah, and ultimately we might be migrating a lot more stuff into the website, building out a profile section or like an account section you can log in, track your stuff in there as well, and we'll have that all figured out. It should be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
So for now, though.
Well, here's the thing. If you listen to this episode, we did fall short.
We've been bad.
We've been bad.
We've not great.
No. So
it feels only right that we draw from the punishment pot.
So on screen right now, hopefully you can see the list of punishments that are awaiting us. We're each going to draw one, and this will be active until our next challenge check-in, which will probably be a few episodes from now.
And now these, we kind of just off the dome came up with them. So we're not sure, how challenging some of them are. Some of them are probably going to be way harder than others.
Yeah.
There are some that are way harder than others.
Yeah.
So, I'm kind of curious.
And please, if you have suggestions.
Throw in suggestions.
Can't promise we'll take them if they're insane, but happy to have them. it's time to stir the punishment
All
pot.
right. Now to unleash our final tool.
And this, for those listening, is just like a gorgeous. How would you even describe it?
It's like a spatula that's made from like pure diamonds. I don't really know how they did this. I don't know how much it costs.
I don't know how we got our hands on it.
More than our apartment complex, to be honest. I mean,
be careful with it.
I know. Well,
right.
It's probably indestructible. I think that was, something that the mysterious man in the woods who
Right.
gave this to me said. I think he said it was forged in like a volcano under the sea. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. So
Really, you should just be watching the episode.
I mean, you're not.
All right, I'm gonna stir the pot,
Time to stir the pot.
and then you have to pick. So it's time to stir the punishment pot.
Jeez.
All right,
I'm kind of scared.
Yeah, there's a few in here that I really don't want.
Right.
A few that I'm like could be kind of fun.
Yeah. There's some that I would low key want to draw. Some that I'm
Yeah.
very afraid of, and so
All right,
I'm sure you can guess
It's
which
mixed.
ones those are. All right.
Good luck. There's one I really want you to pick.
Yeah, I'm sure there is. All right.
You got it?
Yeah.
All right.
All right. So now I'll hold on to this
Hold
and I'll
on to
stir.
that.
All right. Man, it's always a privilege to get to
I know.
stir the pot, man.
I mean, when it's this just high tech.
It's just a beautiful work of art. I really don't know what else to say about it. All right.
All right.
All right.
All right.
All right. All right. I'll go first.
Okay. I'm nervous. Hit us.
This feels unfair. Are you kidding me? Why is it so big? It's the biggest piece of paper. I don't think you'll be able to see this. It's 2 times 1 hour meditation before the next session.
Before the next challenge check-in.
So I have like
That
4 weeks
is
to mix these
brutal.
in. So it's only 2 days though that I really are gonna suck. But I have to do an hour.
Wow. And we're not breaking that up into 30-30.
Oh.
That's 1 straight hour.
Oh no, this is the worst one. This is the one that I do
so
not want to
hoping you
draw.
drew that one.
It's huge. It's the size of this piece of paper. It's like this was. We gotta make these evenly sized.
Yeah.
This is a
All right.
trap.
Ready?
All right.
This one's ridiculous. It's 2 hours outdoors a week with no shoes
Oh,
on.
that's so easy. Are you kidding me? It's gonna be barefoot outside.
At least it's both 2 hours a week, so you can meditate and I can go run around outside.
Yeah, go play in the fields, huh?
Okay, so some grounding. This one, by the way, is inspired by nothing. Like we've heard that grounding is cool, but like no research.
And also
on.
no timing, like no idea of 2
So
hours.
but this is a week.
Yeah, it's a week.
So I'm gonna a cumulative of probably like 8 hours of this.
You have to spend a lot of time. It's gonna suck. What are you even gonna do that?
Do that. I'm gonna be outside in the middle of the night, just running around barefoot.
I mean, it's not gonna be comfortable to go on concrete. What are you gonna
No,
go to a
I think
field?
the whole point is you gotta
Yeah, you
go,
have to go to a
like,
field.
in nature.
Go to the nearby field for 2 hours a week. That low-key sucks.
This is not the one I wanted.
I wouldn't mind that one, at least for
That
right
one's
now.
worse. That one's worse. An hour meditation is brutal.
Dude, I'm just gonna pass out. Like I've never done an hour. Like that's insane.
So we'll get to see. I'm so curious.
I'm gonna save this for the last 2 days.
Oh, good. Yeah, I mean, good luck.
I just feel like I gotta build my
that's
meditation
true. That's
skill
true.
up.
It'll get easier.
Yeah, I cannot do this
Okay.
off the rip. Otherwise, it'll be impossible. So the next challenge check-in, we're gonna want to come back with a lot of our highlight reels and our data, and we're still gonna be figuring out kind of how the punishment system's gonna work. So we want to upgrade this in maybe more of a way that's got some tiers to it, maybe, or like we'll figure out how the sentencing is gonna work.
Yeah, and with these, we'll have to record not just the habits that we're doing, but we're also going to record the punishments that we
Yes.
do along the way.
So yeah, you enjoyed watching me meditate for 2 hours on time lapse.
You get to watch me frolic around the field.
It's gonna be so annoying to look at. I'm gonna see you just like playing in the field.
This could be the key for you to go beyond.
You're gonna see me just like.
If you fall asleep, that the judge might not rule in your favor.
Oh no. Yeah, because they're recorded.
You gotta be locked. Locked in.
Oh no.
All right. So, looking forward to next week.
Right.
We are going to be reading part 2. We are reading part 2 of The Master and His Emissary.
Yes.
And we're going to have that conversation. If you listen to part 1, which was episode 11, then hopefully you got a sense that we're bringing in some of the material from the text. We're having a really rich conversation. It's a lot. It's a lot.
It's a lot of book.
A lot of book, a lot of words.
A lot of words.
But I think it's been a really interesting conversation so far.
Yeah.
So if you want to tune into that one, make sure you listen to the first part because it's some really helpful context.
Yes, because getting to the second one, it's a little bit more of the world approach to it. And now we'll see how much value we feel we can get out of bringing that into this podcast.
Yeah.
We might be branching out into some more of the author's other like works or like some of his other, podcast appearances and some things that might give us a little more insight into kind of how do we go about living knowing what we know from parts 1 and 2 of the book. So that should be really interesting, and I'm excited to get a wrap on that.
Yeah. Then after that, we're obviously going to continue with the goal of this podcast, which is to get to fulfillment and to learn along the way. Lofty goal, but
just casually.
1 week at a time. And so if you have any ideas for the challenges, any ideas for the punishments, any books you want us to read, we're game. We're up for any of it.
Yeah, let us. Well, we'll make the call on that. You're listening to ideas.
Yes.
When it comes to actually doing them, we'll be a little more. But give us your ideas. Let us know what you think, what we should do, and then if you listen this far, thanks.
Yeah.
Make sure to, give us a little like, maybe a little subscribe, got to do the little YouTube plug.
Join the community.
Yeah, join the community. So
thank you so much for listening, and we hope you enjoyed, and we'll see you next week.
Yeah, see you next week.